Hey, what's up? It's Harry. How's everything going? So, today, what I want to talk to you about is anger. And not just anger, but also certain negative emotions that come up on a daily basis, right? So, okay, I'm a little sick right now, so don't mind my voice. It's a little sore. But going back to topic, anger. Now, why I specifically chose anger, I noticed that's like one of the negative emotions I feel a lot, right? One of my mentors, Derek Moneyberg, he talks about like three negative emotions being very common that come up in certain people, and there's certain emotions that come up even more than others, right? And I believe that he said anger, anxiety, and I think depression or something like that. Those three are some of the most common ones, right? The most common negative emotion that people feel. Now, for me specifically, I think anger pops up a lot, quite a bit, as a matter of fact, right? Now, we got kind of know what I want to get into today, not just like anger, why we feel angry, but also I want to get into what are some of the best ways that we can handle anger and how you can handle anger, right? So I realized, just growing up, right, as my story, I kind of had like a very angry dad, angry father figure in the household. Now, obviously, he's a very successful guy. He taught me a lot, what I know, but he kind of has a lot of anger issues, right? Growing up, I remember getting beat up, for example, and not to get so much in my past, but I remember I was beat up a lot, scolded a lot, always lectured, getting harassed, and it was a bit of a harrowing experience, right? Growing up. Now I noticed I myself, as I grew up, I tended to put on some of those similar qualities, right, that I would kind of see in him, and I kind of picked those up from him, which not necessarily is not a necessarily good thing, but it's something that kind of like it did come up, right? Quite often, and I started to get pissy with people if things didn't go my way, or I was really frustrated with certain things not going. Maybe I'm stuck in traffic and I'm getting really mad. I'm trying to get somewhere, like I'm suddenly, let's say I'm in traffic, I'm on driving my car, and I'm stuck in traffic. I'm trying to, let's say trying to go to pick up my girlfriend, get her on, to her house, pick her up, or do something, right? And maybe regardless of whatever task I'm involved in, for some reason like these obstacles come up, right? These problems come up in the way, and I feel kind of angry. I feel a little pissy, and I would notice I'm like, it's like every time that happens, it would tend to ruin the rest of my day, and didn't know exactly why, right? Like, why does that anger keep on lingering, right? And why I'm not able to process it properly. And I noticed that a part of me almost liked that anger. Because a part of me got fueled by that anger. It gave me motivation in a sense, and it gave me that drive to do certain things. And I would actually get a lot of things done thanks to anger, right? I would be more purposeful, right? I would have more certainty. And operating from anger, while on one hand, in the short run, it could be seen as a good thing because you are getting some certain things done and you're using the anger rather than being used by it. But in the long term, when you live there, when you live in that angry state all the time, it tends to get in your way a lot more, and it tends to cause more problems, not just in your works, personal life, but also your social life, and affects your relationships as well. So I realized, what are some ways that you can handle anger? Well, what are some possible solutions to anger? What could you do if you wanted to like deal with anger a little bit better, right? So one thing I love is meditation, right? Mindfulness meditation has numerous health benefits. Really good, calms you down, keeps you grounded, lowers cortisol, lowers the stress response, which is really good. I think that meditation, everyone should be doing meditation at least 20 minutes a day. It had so many health benefits, and everyone would just benefit greatly overall. And even if you don't have these sort of negative emotions that come up in your life as much, it's going to help you in other areas as well, which includes your health, how well you feel, how you operate on a daily basis, right? Your overall emotional state is just going to operate a lot more efficient. So yeah, that's meditation is one thing. Also, just kind of like being a little bit more realistic and objective about it. Like if you're angry at something, like a lot of the things we're angry about, it's kind of like all of it's just created in our mind, right? A lot of these problems are created in our mind. So sometimes it's not relevant to be angry. You got to kind of have to look at it for what it is objectively and look at it, well, this isn't such a big problem that I personally assumed that it would be. It's not that big. So why am I even angry? And you kind of have to like manually let it go. You choose to let it go. Well, you know what? Just be honest. You be honest with yourself. You're like, hey, you know what? This is not that big of a deal. It's not worth it. Not worth my time. It's fine. Hey, Feel the anger, let it come up, just let it go. Just dive into it, just feel it, right? And ideally, it's really helpful and useful for you to view it that way. View it in a sense, in a way that's objective, logical. This doesn't really make any sense. Having this crazy emotional response. 'Cause you're not a chick, you're not a girl, right? You're a man. And as a man's responsibility, one of the core tenets of masculinity is to be grounded and not being run by your emotions. So be in control of your emotions, but don't be controlled by them. That's the lesson here, right? And this same concept not just doesn't just apply to anger per se, but also applies to anxiety, applies to depression, or whatever negative emotion that come up in your life. So ask yourself this: what do I constantly feel angry on a consistent basis, or am I feeling certain negative emotions, maybe apathy, depression, whatever it is that you're feeling? Whatever. Notice, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling right now, as a matter of fact? Is this what you want to be feeling? Or are you just being resistant to what you're feeling? That's a normal state that we find ourselves in. Hey, that normally you're going to find yourself in that mindset all the time. Hey, that you're always going to be resisting the emotion state that you're in. So you have to keep that in mind. Hey, this is what I'm doing, right? And I feel a certain way. So what do I do, right? Why do I keep resisting it? Why am I not accepting it for what it is? Because notice, you have to be okay with what you're feeling. On the one hand, if you feel angry, be accept. Okay, I feel angry. Ironically, when you accept it and you feel it, that's kind of when you're able to let go properly, right? And also just being rational. Kind of talked about it earlier, right? Being objective and logical for what it is. So yeah, don't worry so much about it. Just remember, every time you feel certain negative emotions that come up, dive into it, feel it for what it is, and why do you feel that way, right? Ask yourself why. Don't ask the how. Ask yourself the why, and the how will take care of itself. Anyways, thank you for that. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, or if you have any questions, shoot a comment down below. Let me know. And looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you.